Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unraveling. I'm Jamie.
And I'm July.
And today we are going to be sharing about our business journey and how we got here today to where we are, starting this business, and all the twists and turns that have come along with that, I guess.
This
what do I say?
This long journey, this long beginning.
Long beginning.
That's what it should be called, the long beginning.
Let's name this episode that, the long beginning.
Now we'll get to see if we actually name this episode that. Oh my goodness. So just thought we would let everyone into sort of the behind the scenes of what has brought us to this point, the challenges and struggles of getting to this point. One, just so you can get to know us better, and who knows, hopefully somebody out there might be contemplating something similar, I was going to say, this might help them.
For anyone listening who is an entrepreneur or is thinking about starting a business or trying to start an online business, I think it's good to hear from other people that you're not alone.
You're not alone. Yeah. And we encounter other entrepreneurs quite regularly that are like, oh, thank God I thought it's not just me. Yeah, thank God it's not just me. Yeah. So it's always
it's unfortunate but encouraging.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Sad, but yeah. So yeah. I don't know.
Where do we begin?
Well, are we just diving in or
sure.
Yeah. No banter. No banter?
What do we want to banter about?
I don't know.
I was like, do you want to play rock, paper, scissors? What's happening right now?
You gave me this deck of cards.
Do you want to do one?
Yeah, well, you gave me this deck of cards.
Do one once in a while.
Okay. So this is a deck. This is a game, right?
Yes.
Okay,
so it's a card game by this company called The Skin Deep. And the cards are called the And, I guess. And there's all these different editions. And so we have the Friends edition. So it's basically the purpose of these games are to help people have deeper conversations. So
which is the whole point. Yeah, the whole
point. So
I was
I think we should do one once in a while.
Yeah, you have this one.
I have a friendship one and humor one, and there's all kinds of these. I'll make sure to tag this company website in the show notes because there's some for couples, there's dating ones, there's like marriage. There's just anything you can think of.
Yeah, and it's 199 questions is what you get. I would imagine probably in each set.
Yes.
That's just a guess.
Yes.
But...
And the rules are hilarious for how you're supposed to play the game. There's a lot of you have to stare deeply into each other's eyes for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
And if you want to pass on a question, you have to stare into the person's eyes for 10 seconds and then say you want to pass. So
yeah, it's about connection. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but I kind of saw that in this how to play little card that's on the top. So, well, this was the one that just sort of jumped right out from the top here.
Oh, I'm nervous.
I think it's a simple. When do you feel most alive? Are we playing by the rules? Do we need to then we'd have 10 seconds of just airtime. I'm not making fun of the game. I think that's beautiful. We won't necessarily, the rules aren't conducive to podcast recording.
No, sitting in silence for 30 seconds.
Yeah. You guys might think something's wrong with your streaming.
Guess the podcast episode ended.
Yeah. So
when do you feel most alive?
When do you feel most alive? Yeah. I have a good.
Honestly, anytime I'm outside, anytime I'm around people I love.
Yeah.
Enjoying life, laughing.
Mine's pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I'll say I think there was a time in my life when I would have found that there were moments in a day where I felt most alive, but I have to say, because of how I've designed my life, I feel most alive the majority of the time. Like
Well, I think
I do
feeling,
things that bring me alive. That's how I've designed my life, with cyclical living and living off of, out of like having a garden and,
being present
being
in your
present.
life,
Yes,
I would say, is
yes.
like, I know what you mean. It's like,
Leading, providing healing, those types of things. Yeah. So
intentionally living your life makes you feel alive most of the time. Like
yes.
you're not numbing out, you're not
Yeah.
tuning out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say that for the majority of the time within a day, that's how I feel. I don't know that I often feel not alive
It'd
or
be weird
drained
if you
or,
did.
well, it would, yeah, because we are alive.
Yeah.
And if you're living, I think part of feeling alive throughout your day is following your passions. Living a life that's built off of your passions and your drive and your callings. And yeah. So, and definitely nature has a lot to do with it, right? Like, I can't even imagine. I mean, like, yesterday we were just talking about the fact that we've been in like this cloud bank here on Prince Edward Island. We were in a cloud bank. Some people say it was 20
It's been
days. Some people say it was 30. Like, there's some debate of how long. And it was so rainy. It was just raining,
I like that
and
you're saying was, and it's pretty rainy today. It's cloudy, it's gray. We had
today.
one day break, and she's like, "It was rainy." No, we're still in it. She's still living in yesterday.
And I will continue to.
I'm sorry.
Until the sun comes out again.
Yeah, just remember that one good Thursday we had.
Yes.
In the month of November.
Well, and Thursday is my favorite day of the week.
Oh, that's nice.
I love Thursdays. I have my whole life since being a child. So there you go.
My favorite day is Wednesday, and you don't like that day. You're always
oh my
crapping on
gosh!
my favorite day.
I just literally said that the other day, didn't I? I was like, yeah, we were.
I don't like Wednesday.
Planning. I was like, Wednesday is my least favorite day. I don't know why. I don't know why. I was probably just talking out my ass.
It's so weird to have a favorite day anyway. Like, it's like, well,
is it?
It's. I don't think it's weird, but it's like, it's silly when you think about it.
It is, because every day should be your favorite. True.
They're just made up.
So true.
Today is not Friday. Like,
so
today
true.
is just today.
I don't know what it is about Thursdays. I really love them, though.
I hear you. I
always
really
have.
like Wednesdays. I think it's because they're in the middle of the week. It's just satisfying.
Yeah. I don't know. Thursday's like the calm before all the excitement of it's the weekend, which was never a thing.
Never mind. I'm going to get off.
That's
okay. Off topic here.
That's okay.
All good.
Yeah.
Are we doing another one? You're looking at another
No, I'm just looking. No. It was I think that was a great question.
Yeah.
And so nature in coming, so we were in the clouds and then the sun came out yesterday. And it felt like it was life-giving. It was a really awesome little break from the blah.
No, I was going to make the joke yesterday when you asked me if the sun like boosted my mood. I was like, I'm practically a solar panel. Like, that's how I feel. Because I was like, I had so much energy yesterday. I was just like, yeah, oh my god, this is great.
Yeah,
like, I was just outside.
Yeah, no, it.
I went to town in the afternoon. That's crazy. I never go to town in the afternoon. That's when it's the busiest.
That's true. Me too.
But I was just like, this day is just, it's just a wild day.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something real different, real out of character, and go to town in the afternoon. Woo! Then by the time I was driving home, it was getting cloudy again. I was like, well,
there we go.
Trying new things. Here we go.
Well, I think that the sunshine, and I mean, nature's beautiful when the sun isn't shining too, of course. But I think that, just being out in nature is part of the, that life force that we need, because we are nature. And so, as long as we have that connection to
We are soulless
appreciate
animals.
nature daily and realize and really sit with, like, that we're part of that. We are part of nature. I think it will help everybody a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I do that. So every day I do feel alive. Yeah. Except for maybe when I'm really, really sick. And even then.
Yeah. The pain of my sickness reminds me I'm alive.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay. So
that brings
on
us
to
to
the subject.
How did we get here? Talking about feeling alive, talking about the weather, making a podcast. Business journey.
And it has been one.
It has indeed.
It has. So we were talking the other day. It has been, I said 2 years, and you were like, has it only been 2 years? And then I had to, we started really looking at it, and it had been
kind of 3 years since we started, like
the little
talking.
nudges. The nudges.
Yeah, like started kind of like dipping our toes in of like with ideas.
And we had a lot to work out with those ideas, and we had a lot of healing and growth to do. And that healing and growth has been sometimes a bit of a bitch.
I was going to say, painful.
Yeah.
No point sugarcoating.
No.
Yeah. At times painful.
Yeah. So I guess about 3 years ago, we started talking about doing something and doing something together. And initially, we're both so in love with the plants and such friends with the plants that's where it kind of all started. Like, how can we take this and share it with others in some way? And so brainstorming began, looking at potential other partnerships. I mean, what else was in those early days? There's just a lot of talking.
Yeah, it was a lot of talking, a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it seemed like for a long time, we just bounced from idea to idea. Ooh, what about this? We're very squirrely. Like, ooh, look at this one.
Yeah, shiny object syndrome, as they say. But we were really in just a planning phase. So shiny object syndrome is totally
so
good in that phase.
I actually totally forgot until you mentioned it that in our very, very, like, I think one of our first conversations we had with like another potential partner, we actually did briefly mention starting a podcast. I totally forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I must not have been as in love with podcasts then, because I don't think I hopped on board with that too crazy.
I'm pretty sure that we did. If it wasn't a podcast, then it was kind of like almost a vlog.
Yeah. Like some kind of YouTube videos or something like that. And then we hopped to, like, I think our next kind of big planning
was more so merchandise.
Was more so products. Like plant-based products.
Yeah.
And once again, we talked to like a potential third partner. That I don't think that didn't really like take
nothing
off.
Ever
we
really
had like
came
one
of that
meeting, and that's all I really remember on that one. Which is good. It's good that some of these things, fizzled out really quickly, and we didn't have to like go down a path and waste a whole lot of time or anything like that. But it was a lot of like
just a lot of searching and self-discovery.
Yeah. And then I remember at one point you and I were talking about doing products, because I remember having a meeting on that. Lots of note writing.
Yep. Right on your porch, as I recall. Yeah, in the nice sunny day. Yeah. No, as I look out the window, I'm like,
and there's snow.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I got lost in a daydream of the sun there. And then I feel like there was kind of like some pauses in amongst some of these. Like, it wasn't like a constant, oh, this one. But I know you and I kept coming back. And that's been the thing that's been like the most common. It's like we've involved other partners at times and kind of gone down the path a little ways. And then that hasn't worked out, and we've kind of stopped and gone our separate ways. But then you and I have always kind of, it's like our conversations just automatically start going back there to like doing things and
Yep.
doing things together, I think. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
just been a constant
It's
thing.
been a journey for
Yeah.
sure, and it has had lots of ups and
Mhm.
downs.
Mhm.
And I think ultimately one thing that was pulling us was our love for the plant world.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
and our love, not our knowingness inside that you find peace and purpose in fully integrating into nature, that you are
Mhm.
nature. we
Mhm.
we have in our society so much just this like idea that's put out there of go and spend time in nature,
Mhm.
which
Mhm. Go connect with nature.
which automatically says that you are separate from it.
Mhm.
Implies
Mhm.
it implies you're separate from it, and
Mhm.
we've known, deep within us that that is just not the case.
Yeah.
And we've been creating personal lives that
Mhm.
honor
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
which takes a lot of adjusting, and we
Mhm.
still are adjusting.
100%.
So
And still learning. I
y-
feel like I will forever be learning.
absolutely, absolutely. And then wanting to help others, I
Mhm.
think we both have this
Yeah.
intense desire to help others.
Yeah. I think like absolutely like this I think I'll speak specifically for myself, but it's just this like this love and gratitude for kind of my own journey and
Mhm.
seeing what's possible and being like, oh my god, like I want to share that with other people.
Yeah,
And
same.
but I've always wanted to help people. Like
Me
ever
too.
since I was a kid, like I remember
Same.
that's all I wanted. Like people are like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I help people.
Yeah, that was
Like
always my
I didn't
same
know.
exact answer.
Yeah.
I just want to help people.
Yeah.
I want to help
And
people.
so I guess I've been going down various paths my whole life,
Oh
really,
yeah, and
of
then
like what that looks like.
as I got older, it was like,
Yeah.
I'll be this or I'll be
Mhm.
that, and everything that I've ever considered or done has been, how does this help people?
Mm.
How am I helping
Mhm.
people? So yeah,
I think
no.
for me, I went down a lot of paths, like growing up, like in my 20s and stuff too, where it was like wanting to help people and looking at what job or what career I could get to
Mhm.
do that. And just none of that felt right. Like I feel like I always kind of felt like I want to help people and I want to be able to help them from my own
Mhm.
authenticity,
Mhm.
not in this box that this job is telling me how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also myself, since youth, always had a passion to help the earth.
Mhm.
That's always been a thing too.
Mhm.
So, very earth conscious in my thinking and the way I approach life, and made a lot of
Mhm.
mistakes. And it's really challenging because of the society we live
Mhm.
in to live in true vibration with, helping our planet. It can really be complex and difficult when you are so conditioned to not really think
Mhm.
about your actions and how each thing impacts the planet and humanity as a
Mhm.
whole in turn,
Mhm.
because yeah, we're all in this together and we all share this beautiful earth.
Mhm.
So that's always been something, that's been at the forefront for me as well. So yeah.
Definitely can't say that about myself, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I
no.
I was very connected to nature when I was a kid. Like
Mhm.
that was I spent more of my time out in nature talking to bugs and trees and plants than I did humans.
Mhm.
Um and then yeah, teenage years and 20s, I was very, I'll say, disconnected from
Mm,
nature, from earth, from all of that.
not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, no. Well, and it's because of the society we live in.
Mhm.
It's we don't, for so long. I mean, we talk about it a lot more now,
Mhm.
but we haven't. So, but we can get off on that
Yeah, we can get
subject
off that.
easily.
Yeah.
So,
Whole other
a whole
podcast.
other, yeah.
Yeah.
But so
Business.
that's part of the business,
Yeah.
is moving with the earth, being kind,
Mhm.
being good, guests here on this planet. I remember we had gone to a women's like circle type of an event at one point, and I remember one of the leaders there read a little excerpt from a book, and it essentially that was the theme of it, is like, are you being a good guest here on this planet?
Yeah.
So yeah. So why, I mean, let's getting back to the like ins and outs of the business, and it taking
possibly 3.
Yeah, 3-ish. I don't really fully count that first year. That was just like playful brainstorming, I think, in so many ways. And
And you had to begin somewhere. We had to start somewhere.
Yep, absolutely, we did. So, here we are, the last 2 years, we'll say, because that's really when yours and my things really began.
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to do something online.
Yeah.
So the first thing we did was we had watched some inspirational things.
Yeah.
And
yeah. That's how that started.
Yeah. And then these inspirational speakers were talking about the online business space. And we started to feel like that was the place for us. And I think the reason for that is that we could help more people by doing that. That the goal was to help as many people as we possibly can, to inspire as many people as we possibly can, and really let the healing spread as far as possible. So there we went, exploring the online, and it has been, that's what I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Starting to explore the online. That is like, I don't even have a word for that. I guess your sound summed it up perfectly. Because, well, there's a lot of information out there.
There is so much information.
And there's, when you're like stepping out of your comfort zone and starting to try something new, there's a lot of fear. And so you put those two things together and it gets a little crazy. Because
truly,
we definitely got stuck on the like hamster wheel of information, of like, how do we do this? How? With every little thing. And I think we were stuck in that hamster wheel for, I don't know how long. It was a while.
The how.
We were stuck in the how.
Yeah,
and like,
very much.
Yeah, very much like
trying to figure out what is a whole different world for us. I mean, I would imagine there's definitely a possibility for the younger generations that it wouldn't seem as overwhelming. They're more technologically, just, it's just there in them. They just get it. But we had to really explore quite a bit here. Like, well, how does this work? How do these systems work? And sometimes I'll see where, there'll be somebody speaking about applying a new online system thing to your business. And they're like, and it only takes 30 minutes. And it's like, there I am 5 hours later.
Never happened.
Never.
I've never done something that's like, it only takes 5 minutes. I'm like,
yeah. Create a landing page and just like that. It's like, no.
So, yeah, we definitely, I'm going to say, in our first venture down business lane, we were definitely stuck in like information overload, kind of overthinking every little detail. And
trying to learn really a new language.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many terms and such that, well, just a landing page. I didn't even know what a landing page was, or SEO, or, so many things. It was like, oh, well, that, I had to learn. And so that was a challenge. And then there was the challenge of way too much information coming at us at all times. I mean,
everyone saying something different.
Everyone having a different approach.
Yeah.
Truly. And then doing our best to wade through that and find what were the common threads What did they all seem to be saying that was common
Yeah.
within? And that was very challenging.
Yes, because
Because
some
there's
say the complete opposite.
well, especially because there's just so
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
out there because online business is exploding. Like
Mhm.
it's they're saying it's just growing at such rates over well, we've watched it just in the last year. I remember there was projections saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
in 4 years it'll do this," and it's managed to do that. It like
Mhm.
come so much faster than what they expected.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And then there was, amongst all of that, the personal growth.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's been overcoming the fear of being seen,
Mhm.
overcoming scarcity mindsets, lots and lots of fear.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what's the, it's like acceptance, like judgment, the fear of
Fear of
judgment,
judgment. Yeah.
right? Like that's been one. And
Mhm.
then trust issues. I mean,
Mhm.
that's played a part in partnerships.
Mhm.
And the collaboration thing. So I think part of
And people pleasing for myself anyway.
oh
Like people
yes,
pleasing
people pleasing,
definitely because I know like
absolutely.
yeah, we've discussed kind of
Mhm.
how that's come into play in earlier
Mhm.
ventures as well.
Well, yeah, with the fear of being seen comes the
Mhm.
people pleasing because you want to please everybody, but you
Mhm.
can't do that. That's not even when you create a business. Well, like
Well,
look,
I meant even in
in
partnership
partnership
too,
too.
right?
Yes.
Of like not
Absolutely.
kind of speaking up, not really embracing one's individuality or
Mhm.
strengths because you're too busy trying to please and be like, you know, do everything or
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
be
Yeah,
everything even though
feelings of
you
inadequacy
yeah,
within it.
not doing enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, we're really painting a picture to make this whole thing seem real appetizing.
But it's great for like I saw a post the other day and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was basically along the lines of like entrepreneurship is the best thing you will ever do for personal growth.
And I have to agree.
Yeah.
So far, I am amazed by how far we have come.
Mhm.
And
Cuz it pushes you and it also like I know for myself it's like it motivates you
mhm,
because you have this desire, you have this goal and you're like I want that. I want
mhm,
to succeed.
mhm,
And then you start seeing all these things in your own self that are blocking you from succeeding. And so
mhm.
it's a really good motivator for personal growth because you're just like, fuck that.
It
No, I
absolutely
want to do these
is.
things.
Yeah. No.
And yeah, when you start to really see the things, the mindsets, the limiting beliefs, the whatever, the fears that are holding you back, it's really good motivation for personal growth.
No, it's been amazing. It's been an
Mhm.
amazing process. It's been so painful at times,
Yes.
so challenging at times, and it's
Mhm.
also been so beautiful.
Mhm.
It's been, definitely up there with one of the more beautiful
Mhm.
aspects of healing
And we've had a lot of
because
fun too.
oh my gosh,
We've
we
had a lot
have
of
so much fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yes, and that's another thing. There's been laughter, there's
Mhm.
been tears, and there's been frustration and there's been
Mhm.
celebration.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting there.
Mhm.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Um, things still come up.
Yeah.
And according to some of the more, established entrepreneurs, they will continue
Yeah.
to. So getting past that, that
Yeah.
accepting that that's
It's
okay.
gonna
You can
come up.
work through
Yeah.
it. It's okay.
I literally had that thought this morning as I was like, had some, you know, similar, like just thoughts,
Mhm.
brewing, the doubts, the
Mhm.
inadequacy, like whatever. And I was just like, and I remember that. I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, this is just gonna come up. This is
Mhm.
just this is nonsense. This is nothing. It's gonna happen. You just
Oh
carry
yeah.
on
Oh
with your
yeah.
day, carry on with what you're doing.
Yep. Yep.
Like you don't go into that and
Well, the other thing I think we've struggled with in it is the word that has been thrown around everywhere, which is authenticity.
Mhm.
I think that's a big one, right? And that's where that whole, you know, what you were just saying you were going through sort of
Mhm.
this morning with like, having those doubts for
Mhm.
like, yeah, of whatever worthiness of
Mhm.
if you really can do it, and
Mhm.
the authenticity, like we've had this word just be thrown around so much, and it's like, do we really discuss what that actually means and accept what that means? Like, you need to be
Mhm.
authentic. Everybody wants you to be authentic in a business, and we've done our best. Like, we had another podcast and
Yeah.
we tried really
Mhm.
hard
Mhm.
to be authentic, but you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to try, is the other
Yeah.
thing, right? Like, but it's so awkward because you know that people are listening.
Mhm.
You know that if you're doing video, people are watching,
Yeah.
and it's getting past that hurdle of
This is how it should look and this is how it should sound like.
exactly, and just being
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and not caring and knowing that you're not going to be everybody's cup of
Yeah.
tea, and you're not doing something that everybody's going to be interested in,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you might even get a little hate,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's so challenging. Um Especially when we throw that word authenticity
Mhm.
in there,
Mhm.
because you're like, well, I'm trying my best to be authentic, but I did that. I made that statement, what, about a year ago, saying that I feel that we are all being authentic in the moment that we're in,
To the best of our
to the
ability. Yeah,
best of our
exactly.
ability,
Yeah.
what's going on, even if you're thinking that somebody is totally, basically full of shit.
Mhm.
Oh, they're an inauthentic
That
person.
is
No,
their
that is
authenticity
their
in that moment.
authentic
Yeah.
representation
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whether it's based in arrogance or it's
Yeah.
based in fear or it's based in um, sadness or, whatever. It, that is authentic to them in that moment.
Mhm.
And so yeah, this whole,
Yeah.
it's been a hurdle for me.
For sure. And I think like there's when you see what's presented, I think um more so online when it comes to like online businesses and stuff and people who are doing coaching and healing and like
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at, similar paths to what you're
Mm-hmm.
on. I'm seeing more and more of it now, which is nice, but earlier on I wasn't seeing so much of like people actually talking about their struggles too because there's
Yes.
there's almost this thing of like putting right, you got to be professional. There's
Mm-hmm.
that mindset to get through too of like got to be professional, got to show up and be the healer, the coach, the
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I am seeing a shift now of people showing up and being the human,
Yeah.
right? Because once again, I just had this moment recently where like, hey, man, I struggle with things. There's things I struggle with, and
Mm-hmm.
I had this thought the other day where I was like, how can I show up? How can I show up in this, right? As opposed to like hiding it or trying to show up and being like, I'm fine, I'm Jamie, the healer, and the
Well,
this, right? It's like, how can I take this thing
yeah.
I'm struggling with, this thing I'm going through, how can I use that to help others? How can I show up and share that
Mm-hmm.
and use that to help others? And I don't think there was as much of that going on
There definitely
as I
wasn't.
am seeing more and more of it now, even like on social media of people presenting
Oh, yeah.
their mess, for lack of a better
Absolutely.
word.
We've witnessed it. We've
Yeah.
witnessed very successful
Yeah.
online entrepreneurs who were presenting as like, this is what I do. This business is all about, we'll just say, everything's about organization. And that's
Mhm.
all I
Mhm.
focus on. And I help people get organized. And then they hit a life, sort of like a roadblock in life.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden their whole life blows up. And they're like, oh, you know what? This doesn't feel so great to
Mhm.
just sit here and pretend like my life isn't
Mhm.
happening
Mhm.
and run this business. I'm just going to be honest
Yeah.
about what's going on in my life. And hey, this is who I really am. This is
Mhm.
what's really going on. These are my struggles. And we've watched them do so well,
Mhm.
with being honest and getting, we'll say in quotes, off brand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of
Yeah.
that too, a lot of pushing. You have to stay on
Mhm.
brand. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And you have to pick one
You
niche
want
and you
niche.
better
Yeah.
stick
Yeah.
with that niche. And
Yeah.
that really held me up
Yeah.
more. I think the one niche thing held me up more than anything else so far because I am a multi-passionate person.
Well, I think we both are.
Yeah.
And that has been difficult of like, oh, well, what do we focus on?
Yeah.
But we want to do all these things.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing was, I just think within my algorithm, perhaps, I don't know. I mean, I've definitely seen huge changes and shifts in the past, we'll say year, but we were going into it, we're spiritual entrepreneurs. And what we were seeing from spiritual entrepreneurs was really, in a lot of ways, it was a very specific essence of how they were presenting themselves and how they were showing up. And then feeling like, well, that's not who we are. You know, we're raw and we're edgy. Yeah, we're not like, everything's calm and tranquil all the time, and that's just not the reality.
No.
And so it wasn't able we weren't able to do it, because it felt false.
Yeah.
And we both knew that.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle
Oh my
to
God. I
even
struggled
attempt.
so much.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
with our first venture. Yeah. Like it was painful. It was actually painful.
Oh, yeah, and overthinking business names. Oh my gosh, overthinking podcast names.
Yeah.
I will say this time everything has it's just clicked. I mean, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
Everything just is like clicking.
I feel definitely clicking. I think we've done a little bit of overthinking at times.
Oh
but
gosh,
I think,
yes.
But catching ourselves and then being like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be called. Duh. Like
Yeah, and I think
almost.
the overthinking, it used to be a spiral of like you'd go down a rabbit hole of overthinking, right? And now it's like maybe you overthink for a few days, maybe even a week or so, and then you sort of what the heck was going on?
Yeah.
Wait a second. You catch yourself.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting back on track really much faster
for
now.
Sure. Yeah.
And
honestly, if we hadn't learned anything from the last few years, that would just be sad.
Well, then we shouldn't be doing this at all. No, that would be ridiculous. Yeah. So,
but that way, I don't know. Yeah, where are we at in our journey here now? What are we talking about?
Well, I think that the next thing is the collaboration, because we at one point, so we were doing something on our own. Then we once again brought in a third partner, and it didn't work. And we were discussing this the other day. I think we were constantly looking for another partner because of our own feelings and inadequacy of some kind, fears somehow. Like, that'll solve this. That's what we need. That's the solution. And the truth of it is that collaboration doesn't have to look like partnership either. And we know that we're moving into a vibration of collaboration, and competition is a thing of the past. And getting out of the competition mindset that has been drilled into us is a challenge. And so finding people to collaborate with that are not in that vibration can be very challenging. And you have to, in order to collaborate, in order to have something that resembles a partnership of sorts, there has to be an immense amount of trust. And it takes time to build that. And so, so that's, we went from you and I doing something, and then I don't even remember what happened there fully. It was sort of an evolving, and then we wanted to do a podcast, and then we brought in a third person, and then that just wasn't working. And then eventually it was back to you and I, and we took a pause, and we said, that's it. We're done. We're no more. We got really we were exhausted, really exhausted. And we went off, and both of us felt that pull that we still had that we have to do something. I have to provide service to other humans here, because I've learned all these beautiful things, and I want to make sure to share them, and help other people heal. And very much a calling. And then so we started having accountability meetings together. as we are BFFs, if you will, in quotes. I don't love that term, but I mean, I'm sure others would definitely think of us as best friends. Um, and and so we started having these accountability meetings where we were going to help hold one another accountable for our individual journeys. And then every accountability meeting, every discussion we were having, we were like basically doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Or
Very
very similar.
Yeah.
Very, very similar to the point where it was like, what is going on right now? What? You're focusing on that topic? I'm focusing on that topic. Well, what? So now we've come back together and here we are. You had a podcast on your own.
I had a podcast on my own,
Yeah.
last winter.
Yeah. So I'm feeling good that we're in the home stretch here. I think there'll be lots of bugs to work out still, little
for sure.
this and that. And I have high hopes for this podcast. You're the one that's more passionate about podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should hear her about podcasts. It's so wild. You get so giddy.
I do get pretty giddy about podcasting. I don't know why. I think it's like I was thinking about that yesterday. Yesterday was a very reflective day, I will say. The sunshine just
Agreed.
Yeah, it was very reflective. Yeah, I was thinking about the podcast and why I love it so much. And I don't know. I was thinking about how I've struggled to show up on video and struggled with other areas, but podcast is just woohoo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's part of why I love it so much is I just feel really comfortable, and I haven't felt so much pressure to show up a certain way on a podcast. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably also because of what podcasts are. I've listened to a lot of podcasts and you hear the wide range of variety. People are just doing and showing up however they want on the podcast,
absolutely.
Right? But then you look at social media and how people are showing up there, and I've seen a very different thing, and I think that's gotten in my head. And you get these ideas of oh, I got to show up this way online, I got to show up this way in video, or present myself a certain way. I mean, what we just talked about. And I think podcasting has really allowed me to kind of find my voice and my showing up without feeling all that pressure.
Yeah.
I definitely know, when our podcast before this one, I definitely was showing up less relaxed than I am in this podcast, for sure. I was still trying in our first podcast to kind of show up a certain way, but not as to the extreme that I did when I tried to make videos or social media posts. But then with this podcast, I've just been kind of this is who I am, and I don't care. I'm just going to show up as me and say really stupid things sometimes, and that's just who I am.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first podcast we did, I know there was a lot of holding back because there was still that fear. I mean, there's fear of being seen, fear of being heard, fear of offending someone. So much fear. Fear of judgment is what it all boils down to. And we're getting through it. We're getting through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I think we both I think by going down our own individual paths for quite a while. Yeah. I don't know how long it was, but it was a substantial amount of time.
It was roughly a year.
That we both were working on our own things separately. I think that's helped us tremendously.
Oh, I agree so much.
It's because there was definitely kind of, I think I'll speak for myself, there was definitely holding back on my own individuality with it when we were collaborating. That came from many different reasons of just my own fears, my own self-doubts.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I definitely wasn't kind of pushing to have my own individuality within our collaboration before. And I think by both of us going down our individual paths for quite a while, we've really learned where our strengths lie, what we're even though what we were doing was very similar, we're kind of noticing we've learned. Do you need to get that? No.
My
Just kidding.
goodness. My goodness.
Just wait, we need to take a call.
Yeah, usually I turn it off, and I thought about it, but then I was like, no, can't do that. So, but yeah, now I'm going to, because I never get a call
Yeah.
in this time of day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just both learning that while what we were doing was so similar, I don't think in our previous um business collaborations we really had a strong sense of our individual strengths to the extent that we do now.
No, no.
Or like,
And we were trying to do everything
yeah,
and be everywhere, and not seeing the beauty of a
well,
collaboration,
kind of seeing the beauty and the
where
point
the
of a
the whole
collaboration,
point
right?
of, hey, you can take this and
Yeah.
I can take this, and this is my zone of genius,
Mhm.
and that's your zone of genius,
Mhm.
and there's this other stuff over here that neither of
Yeah.
us likes to do,
So let's do it
but
together
we
with
can
snacks.
divide it, or we can do it together, we can figure it out
Yeah.
together.
No,
And it was
exactly.
very much so like, oh, you're really great at photography, let me
Mhm.
learn all of that right now,
Mhm.
this moment,
Mhm.
instead of just letting you be at the helm of that, right?
Mhm.
And we were both so guilty of
Oh
this.
gosh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I was going through very similar things, and I've also been very lost in, because I had been leading women's circles and providing healings for some time, and I have owned other businesses.
Mhm.
The online just felt so different. It felt so much more, it's the only word that's coming to my mind right now is so much more exposed. Like, you were just so
Mm.
much more exposed to the world, and and it's like, well, how do I take what is such an intimate thing as like a circle, a healing circle, and then apply that same, energy to an online space,
Mhm.
and provide healing that's just as impactful for people who I can't actually physically be in proximity with.
Mhm.
And that was really challenging for me to get, through that. And I mean, there's still things that I'm kind of like, the how still
Mhm.
does come
Mhm.
up, and when it does, I'm just like, don't worry about it, just trust.
Mhm. Yeah,
Just
I
have to
think with the
trust.
online business, a lot of it is just like ripping the band-aid off.
Yeah.
It's just like you just
Yeah.
have to go down the road
Yep.
and start trying things
Yeah.
and learn as you go.
Yeah. And I will say, with the collaboration side of things, I think that, just for anybody who is listening, who maybe is considering, whether it's online business or just a business, like, you have a
Mhm.
passion, because we all should be doing things that we're passionate about. And
Mhm.
I hope to see more and more women going into business, online or just
Mhm.
local,
Mhm.
providing local services. This was one of the things that I think really lit a fire under us, is that the percentage of women who are in business is so low
Mhm.
compared to men.
Mhm.
And we're in a time of real extreme change.
Mhm.
And those changes are necessary. They're absolutely essential.
Mhm.
We need them. And so it's up to us women to show up and create these beautiful businesses, and really get out there and pursue our passions, so that we're setting an example for the future generations. And this isn't about just setting an example for young girls and other women. This is about setting an example for all. Like,
Mhm.
it's helping. We're trying to get out of a patriarchal.
I was just gonna say it's about bringing in more balance
It's
too.
bringing more
Yeah.
balance. Exactly. And, we have the rise of the divine feminine, and we have the rise of the divine masculine. And unfortunately, for a very long time, we've been in a toxic masculine. And then there
Mhm.
was a lot of toxic feminine that came in. And
Mhm.
now we're embracing that, the divinity of what masculine and feminine are supposed to be.
Mhm.
And, you know, part of that is women stepping into more leadership roles and more businesses, so that we're finding that balance in our society.
Yeah.
And So those of us that are, of working age, and we have passions, like we do, it's very important that we do our healing work and we pursue our passions, and we're doing the service that we really feel in our hearts we can offer in the world. It's setting a good example for what's possible, and it can only grow. Like it's nurturing something that needs to be nurtured.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, because you and I, we did watch a particular inspirational. She was a business leadership type woman, and she very much drove home the importance of women going into business, and if more women were millionaires, what how that would impact the world.
Yeah.
And right now our percentages are very low, and I don't have those percentages to pull up, and you can look them up. I mean, that's the thing is, people are always asking me, well, what is the percentage? It's like, you can look these things up so simply. They're very low. And we get, with money, which, money, it's a whole other subject we could get on because it's complex, but it does provide you with the ability to make a difference in the world and have impact in a different way. And so, bottom line is, we need women in business, and coming together in collaboration, that can be really helpful. You definitely don't want to be competing with other women, and anybody who's in a competition mindset, that is just simply not the vibration that's coming. So, and we're distancing ourselves from that more and more. It's by the day, and it just feels icky. So with collaboration, whether it's that you own your individual business and you come together with other businesses to do things that are community based, or to provide offerings that are like big, symposiums and retreats and that type of thing. Or you are doing what we're doing, where it's like you find someone else, whether it's a really close friend or a family member, or somebody that you just are doing something so similar, and then you can make it easier for one another by lightening the load, dividing up the tasks. And that's the beauty of collaboration. It's really, collaboration is about community in its essence. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And seeing how we can all individually help one another instead of try to take the other one down, right? So the collaboration aspect, like that's, I mean, I think that's ultimately why we keep coming back together, because you and I know, as your vibration changes and rises, you can't, the other stuff is no longer accessible. It just doesn't feel right. So you and I keep coming back to this. Let's do some things together. Let's help each other. Well, okay, well, we'll have accountability meetings. That's how we can, and now here we are again. So it's been a beautiful journey, a challenging journey. And I don't regret any of it, because I think we've learned so much about ourselves, about the dynamics of business, about just facing realities. It's forced us to heal things that we didn't even know we necessarily were struggling with as much as we were, like the codependency issues that you and I both had to face last year. And I'm just feeling really good about this time. Yeah. Should we tell them like what our actual business is?
Well, we probably should.
Yeah. So,
no need
first
to keep
of all,
it a secret.
Another thing with so Unraveling, that's our podcast. And Unraveling is meant to raise the voices of women and to plant seeds for deeper conversations and connections. We will talk about the challenges of being a woman and the serious impact women have on the world, how our voices being silenced has affected the structures of society, and how we have affected our planet, and how our struggles have impacted us for generations, and the importance of healing the generational wounds that all women carry. And that's the essence of the podcast. We will talk about so many things. And we've come to realize that through all of our trials and errors over the last few weeks of getting comfortable and finding our flow and all that. So, I mean, while that is our goal with the podcast, don't be surprised if we throw some odd subjects in there sometimes and just talk about nothing or shoot the shit, because that's who we are. So really the podcast is us showing up as authentic as we can and allowing you to get to know us. And the conversations we have are oftentimes just our opinions and own personal experiences.
And they're literally just conversations that we have.
Yes.
It's kind of why we started a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have these talks anyway. Like we legitimately have had a similar conversation about our business and our business journey and starting it amongst ourselves privately recently. And we've just started sort of taking pause and going, you know what, this is a podcast episode and we really should share this because maybe it might help someone in some way. So that's the podcast. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a whole lot of love is put into it. And you're going to hear a lot about nature, and how we are nature, and just
if it's strongly requested, we'll do an entire podcast where we just talk about our cats. But it must be requested.
Or my crazy dogs. But we'll also talk about global issues and, just all the things that we're facing that we really should be having conversations about beyond the weather, though we will discuss the weather as we did on this one, because we live in the weather is an actual global issue. Here. Well, it's a character here, but it's also a global issue.
Yes, it's weird. It's concerning.
So talking about the weather is no longer just a joke. We actually, it's just having deeper conversations about it, really. And then so we have this, so the podcast is sort of on, it's like a little side thing, but yet we're both really into it and passionate about it. But we are going to have offerings. We are both healers. And we have different focuses within our healing. We have different, abilities and gifts that have come through. And so through our business, July Brooke and Jamie Marie, we call it This Life, our newsletter, which we are really getting a kick out of this name, because I'm telling you, when you start using the term this life in different write-ups and stuff, it can be quite amusing and on point. So, and this life sort of was born out of this life that we're living here and now. This life as compared to our past lives. This life is compared to our, our ancestors' lives. It's just all about living and being.
Kind of has a sense of presence.
Yes.
Being present. You're in
being
this
present
life.
In this life. Yes. So that's kind of where that came from. So, with our goal with our business, I'm like looking at our mission statements and this right now. So our vision, the mission statement, I'll give the short version.
Okay.
We inspire and empower women to reclaim their voices, embrace cyclical living, and honor the sacred feminine through authentic connection, nature, and creative expression with heart-centered rituals and playful exploration. We invite women to heal, grow, and reconnect with their wild, wise selves in harmony with the earth. So if you're not familiar with cyclical living and what that means, women, we all move in a natural cycle with nature. Again, we are nature, and the seasons change and the moon changes the energies here on Earth, and we're learning, but we have been doing it for a while now, and we're learning to move into a cyclical way of being in the right vibration. It's an abandonment of the hustle culture What's happened in our society with the go, go, go all the time, there has been extreme burnout. There has been overemphasis on on perfection, perfectionism. There have been stresses placed on us by what we have seen online. We talk about, how we could never live up to having that perfect house or that perfect life. And it's really caused a lot of problems. And when you move into a more cyclical state of existence, you're not worrying about all that stuff. You're just moving with what feels right for you and with the earth. And you're not comparing your journey to someone else's journey. You're just being and doing and honoring what feels right within. And that's what cyclical living is to me. Do you have any comments, Jamie, on it? Like anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. But yeah, no, cyclical living is like, I mean, like you said, we're still learning. I definitely feel like I'm still learning because there's elements to it, right?
Oh,
It's,
so many.
and so, and it is a new, I'm going to say a new way of living, like learning to kind of live that way again and get out of the hustle and get out of, all the different conditioning of
Mhm.
how we have been living. But yeah, no, I think cyclical living is like for me is very much, yeah, being in tune with nature and kind of living slower in a way.
Mhm.
Like that's how I feel my life has changed with moving in more of a cyclical way. It's like you're more present, you're moving at a slower pace or like and a more peaceful pace. Yeah, you're not caught up in all these different pressures and unrealistic standards and goals and not in that heightened anxiety of like I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. There's this flow of like action but also I think being realistic and being
Yeah.
kind of like yeah, just allowing a lot more flow. And I find for me the like honestly the best way I have found to start living that way is to just spend time in nature and observing nature, observing how nature moves
Mhm.
is like
Absolutely.
you want to learn how to live differently. Do that. Like
Absolutely. Being
like
kinder to yourself,
yeah.
gentler with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the the fact is that our society, the way we live is not natural.
Mm-mm.
It just isn't.
Well, and I think like as you start to slow down, and I think that was the biggest thing for me that really I started to notice by slowing down and spending time in nature, you start to notice your energy levels
Mhm.
and how they change and
Yep.
shift. And instead of sitting there being like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why can't I keep up with this all the time? Why can't I go, 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 go? You start to realize that, yeah, you're nature and you are
Mhm.
moving with the energy of nature because
Absolutely.
you're a part of it.
Absolutely.
You're not separate from it. And you can't,
No.
we can force ourselves to go, 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 go. But like you said, you've got burnout, you've got all
Well,
kinds of,
look at where it's led
yeah.
us. Look at where it's led us. We use masses of artificial light.
Mm
We don't have community. Are suffering with an extreme mental health
hmm. Mm hmm.
crisis. We have we have a real problem with burnout.
Mm hmm.
So many people are experiencing burnout,
Mm hmm.
and it's not natural
Mm
to
hmm.
live the way we live, and therefore these are the side effects, and there's many
Mm
more.
hmm.
And yeah, so that's basically, why we have designed
Mm
the
hmm.
business we have, is that we
Yeah.
want to help people. We want to, while we're on this journey and just a couple steps ahead, we want to help others
Mm hmm.
to find their way as well and to heal from the burnout they've experienced. And we're speaking from our own experiences
Mm
here.
hmm.
Um, I have struggled, uh, or I should say, I did struggle most of my life with anxiety. Anxiety still sometimes is a is an issue that I have
Mhm.
to, but I'm getting better at acknowledging it and
Mhm.
working through it. Um, I have had to heal from PTSD. I have suffered a burnout,
Mhm.
and it was extreme. I have had major issues with perfectionism and putting that on myself, and just unrealistic, completely unrealistic
Mhm.
expectations of myself
Yeah.
that nobody could possibly meet, and therefore, oh my, cat has knocked over the microphone, but we are flowing with it. Good job, Kaya. She really wants to be involved in the podcast today. So yeah, and for you, you have had your own struggles that
Mhm.
you've
Yeah. No, she wants me to talk. I'm just messing with her. She's like, "Can any minute now you can start talking." Yeah, no. No, I've struggled with anxiety. I still struggle with anxiety at
Yep.
times. But like you said, like learning to catch it faster and just be gentle with yourself and understand it in a
It's like
different way.
talking yourself through it.
Talking yourself through it,
Yeah.
and yeah, just having a lot more compassion and understanding. Depression has been I think depression's been like the biggest one for me that I've struggled with most of my life.
Mhm.
Um, and still struggle with it
Yeah.
now in different ways. But once again, it's something that like I'm a lot more aware of, um, and becoming more aware of, and how I can support myself better and
Yeah.
kind of move with that, because that's also very seasonal for me as well. The good old SAD.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, and perfectionism as well. Like I definitely struggled with perfectionism and having really really high expectations for myself that just were impossible to meet, which also is just leads to this vicious circle of anxiety and depression. And because you have all these expectations and you're not meeting
Mhm.
them, and then you're beating yourself up about it, and yeah, it's just this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
um yeah, so I've definitely struggled with all of that, and it's been a really beautiful journey to kind of learn to heal from a lot of that. And while
It
things, of
has.
course, are still going to come up, and you still have your bad days, and you still have hard moments, and it's when you start to see the progress of like being able to kind of shift out of that quicker, you're not getting stuck in it. You have a better understanding of why it is
Mhm.
there, why it's coming up. You're able to process it and reflect and learn from it, and not sit there once again and be like, what the hell's wrong with me?
And a big part of that is finding your own personal rhythms.
Yes.
Um, I mean, there's, you need to do healing, of
Mhm.
course, but there in that you find your own personal rhythms and tune in to the vibrations of what nature is doing. It helps so much.
Mhm.
The bottom line is that the life that we have been living in, in more current times, um, when you look at it, it just life does not have to be that difficult.
Mhm.
It really truly doesn't.
Yeah.
However, changing the way that you approach life, the way that you live, can feel so overwhelming and challenging, especially when you have no guide and you have no idea where to start.
Mhm.
And that's what we're
Mhm.
trying to provide here is
Yeah,
a
because it can
starting
feel,
point.
yeah, it can definitely feel very overwhelming. And
Yeah,
so, I mean, I would have loved to have more guidance,
absolutely.
early, earlier on and stuff.
Absolutely.
And even now, still, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
Yeah. So that's what we'll be doing is we'll be providing you with a starting point with July Brooke and Jamie Marie This Life.
mhm.
We have a newsletter and we'll be offering lots of little free things and a group and there'll be courses
Mhm.
and maybe eventually a membership. We
Mhm.
even have been discussing an app down the line. There's lots of things we discuss, so we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. But the bottom line is we want to give people a starting point and then offer the guidance and help to nurture your journey into abandoning these ways that have caused us to be so sick, so overwhelmed, stressed and the struggle and all that, and help you to embrace, a life where you realize that that's not life.
Yeah.
That's not what life is.
What makes you feel most alive?
Yeah.
When do you feel most
When.
alive?
Yeah.
Is
And
that the question we asked at the
yeah,
beginning?
and helping you to feel
Yeah.
alive in every moment of
Yeah.
your day, and not just have those little treasured moments,
Yeah.
because I know what that's like to have those. It's chaos and hustle, and then you have, okay, well, I'm going to do something this
Mhm.
week.
Mhm.
One time a week, you get to
Mhm.
feel passion. Like
Mhm.
that's not right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're moving seasonally, we're moving by the moons,
Mhm.
we're doing healing, we're going to have some really cool rituals and moon ceremonies, and just help you to heal and to live your absolute best life.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
That's the goal.
I'll end with our vision statement, and yeah, and then we'll wrap this
All
up.
right.
So we envision a world where women live in harmony with nature, embrace their authentic selves, and create supportive healing communities. By integrating healing into daily life through rituals, creativity, sustainability, and sisterhood, we're building a movement where women reclaim their strength and nurture future generations. So, on that note, we really hope that you've enjoyed this. This will be our very first full episode.
Mhm.
And we hope that it helps you get to know us a little bit better. I'm sure you're going to get to know a lot more about us as we go along on this journey. We're so grateful for you tuning in today, especially if you've made it to the end of the episode,
Right.
because I know
'Cause
this has been
we
long.
can really go
We
on.
and we can really we are talkers. We can
Hopefully,
chat.
hopefully you like us.
Yeah, hopefully you
I mean,
like
I guess
us.
if they're still here, they like us.
Yeah, and we hope to work with you in the future. So if you'd like to sign up for our newsletter and check that out, and we've got we've got some really cool things coming down
Yeah.
the pipeline, and it'll all be there, and the newsletter won't flood your inbox.
No, it's like twice a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Bi-weekly.
yep. Yeah. So we look forward to connecting with you, building community, growing, and this has been Unraveling with July,
And Jamie.
and be kind.